We're in a fight for the future of Europe. NATO needs to get bigger, not smaller. If Finland and Sweden join NATO and Europe breaks away from dependence on Russian oil and gas and Putin's declared a war criminal, it'd be the best outcome for the world writ large. China would be less likely to go into Taiwan. So I disagree. I think we should do everything within our power. I'm not asking for troops on the ground, but to make sure that Ukraine can expel Russia and that Putin's a war criminal in the eyes of the world and that he's prosecuted. Putin must go. I like Tom Frieden, but if you don't understand this, that if Putin's still standing after all this, then the world's going to be a very dark place. China's going to get the wrong signal, and we'll have a mess on our hands in Europe for decades to come. So let's take out Putin by helping Ukraine.
All right, so you're saying that that's how this ends, that Putin is removed? Is there any way?
There's no off-ramp.
There is no off-ramp.
No off-ramp. So let me tell you why there's no off-ramp. The Ukrainians are not going to give the East to Putin to stop the war. They're going to fight for every inch of their territory. If we push the Ukrainians to give up half the country, then Putin wins. If we back off prosecuting Putin as a war criminal, all the laws on the books become a joke. If we don't get this right, China will certainly invade Taiwan. There is no off-ramp in this war. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And I hope and pray and do everything in my power to make sure Ukraine wins. And Putin is in charge of a state sponsor of terrorism. That designation needs to be given to Russia. He's earned that designation. We need to pour it on when it comes to helping Ukraine.
Last thing, at what point do you think Putin is going to move on Moldova or Poland or some other way that draws the West in? Do you think that that's inevitable as he gets more desperate?
Well, Moldova is not part of NATO, but I do believe he could use chemical weapons because the people in Mariupol are fighting like tigers. If he uses chemical weapons to subdue the East, that should lead to a no-fly zone by NATO to restore the international order. If he explodes a nuclear weapon inside of Ukraine to break our will, then to me that would be an attack on NATO because the radiation will go all over Europe. I could see him getting more desperate because there's no off-ramp for him. Here's what I think will happen. If we stick with Ukraine, they're not going to give up. Over time, the Russian people will turn on Putin. This war is a disaster. You'll see a parade Monday, but the parade doesn't reflect the Russian military. You see the Russian military getting their ass handed to them on the battlefield in Ukraine. We can win this war on behalf of Ukraine if we help them.
Good morning from Old Town Nicosia, Cyprus. It's around 8:30 here on this Tuesday, and I thought we would go for a walk in the Old Town. I don't know where we're going to go. I just thought that maybe we should just take a stroll. I'm actually in a parking lot right here, and you can see the walls of the old city surround me right in back of me, and you can kind of get a good view of where I am. And I'm going to go up the steps and into the Old Town. Right in back of me is the new town, New Nicosia. So let's cross over the walls and talk about the news. Walk around the old town of the city, see what it's like. Go into some unexplored neighborhoods, talk about what's going on. You saw the intro from Fox News and Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a real head case, isn't he? He's talking about Putin being a war criminal. Jeez. Talk about projection from Lindsey Graham. My God. Wasn't Lindsey Graham in that video with John McCain and Poroshenko in Ukraine? That video that went viral like 5-6 years ago. And it shows Lindsey Graham and John McCain hanging out with Azov and Easy Eyes, talking about going to war with Russia. Wasn't that Lindsey Graham? Lindsey Graham also pushed Iraq, WMDs, and Afghanistan. How did that work out for the neocons? Lindsey Graham calling Putin a war criminal. That's pretty rich right there. But you know, Lindsey Graham's statement on Fox News actually pretty much lays out what the neocon thinking is and what the plan is. And Lindsey Graham talks about stopping China, going after China. He talks about regime change, removing Putin. He talks about creating chaos inside of Russia so that the people turn on the Russian government. He talks about that as well. He talks about the fact that we need to pour more, the U.S., the collective West, needs to pour more money, more weapons into Ukraine, because they believe that if they just give Ukraine some more weapons and some more money, well, then they're going to win the war. I mean, Lindsey Graham said it. He said that the Russian army, what did he say? They're getting their ass handed to them. I believe that was his, those were his words that he used. So he talks about that. He talks, what else did he say? Oh, he mentioned once again, chemical weapons. He talked about tactical nukes. Why would Russia use tactical nukes on Ukraine in the east? It doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Bret Baier talked about, the Fox News host, he talked about Russia invading Poland and Moldova. Pure projection. You know that when Fox News is throwing that type of question at Graham, that scripted question about Poland and Moldova and Russia going after them, it means that they want to use Moldova or Poland to go into Ukraine. So that's also projection. So I mean, you get a lot of insight as to how the crazy neocons think. And listening to Graham, one would think that Graham actually believes that Ukraine is winning the war. Which way should I go? Let's go that way. Let's go down to the smaller streets here. So, Graham is a nutcase. He's an absolute nutcase, and he's a failure. He's a foreign policy failure. Everything that he says when it comes to foreign policy, the U.S. should just do the opposite. And then the U.S. is going to be super duper okay. Whatever Graham says, foreign policy-wise, America should just do the exact opposite. And you're going to have the best foreign policy in the world. So I'll just try to think, what else did Graham say? Because I don't really remember the video that much. But I was more kind of stunned listening to the delusion that Fox News and Lindsey Graham displayed in that segment. I mean, he's openly calling for regime change once again. He's saying that Russia should be designated a state sponsor of terror, stuff like that, war crimes, and all of these things. Oh, my God. Anyway, look, why would Russia go the route of tactical nukes or Poland, Moldova, going after them, or what else was he saying? Any of those things. Why would Russia do any of those things? And why is Putin so desperate when he's winning? Why is Russia desperate when they're freaking winning the war? They're winning the war on the ground, and they're winning the economic war, hands down. Oh, Graham also said about Mariupol. He said that Ukrainians are fighting like tigers. What did he say? Something like that. Lions or tigers in Mariupol. What is he talking about? What kind of intelligence is Graham getting? It really makes you wonder. I think Graham knows what's going on. He's just, he's a neocon, and I am fully convinced that the neocon strategy right now is to mislead the collective West population. They want to mislead them to believe that Ukraine is winning, that Ukraine has a chance to destroy Russia, and that was interesting. I thought that car was going to hit me. They want to mislead the collective West population to think that Elensky's going to march into Moscow. If only the collective West just gives Elensky some more money, give him more weapons, maybe throw in a few NATO forces, maybe a Polish invasion in the West. If this just happens, then there's no doubt that Ukraine's going to win the war. That's why they're trying. That's why they're pushing this whole Russia is losing thing so much. That's why they're so desperate to push that narrative, because they want to keep this thing going. If they said the truth, which is that Russia is winning, they're winning the war in the Donbass, they've taken over Mariupol, they just took Popasnaya, they're grinding down the Ukraine military. If they said all of these things to the American public, to the European public, to the collective West, then then the citizens would be like, why are we sending more money to Ukraine? Why are we sending more weapons to Ukraine when this is already over? So they're lying. They're lying. While we're on the subject of money, I think I did a video like, oh wow, cool. All right, I know where we are. So, I did a video like a week ago and I said that Biden wants to give $33 billion to Ukraine. And I think in that video I said, watch, they're not going to give $33 billion. Congress is going to approve $40 billion. And sure enough, I wake up in the morning and what do I see? Congress is going to approve not $33 billion for Ukraine, but $40 billion. I knew it. And not only that, there were like little provisions in that bill that was being presented to Congress for Biden's signature. There were provisions saying that in that bill they would give some money to coup relief and things like that. And they took the coup relief out. So whatever money was going to go to like small businesses or the American people in order to help them out because of the lockdowns that the government imposed on their own citizens, all that money, they're just going to take that out. And they're just going to give all the $40 billion to Ukraine. So not $33 billion, $40 billion. And Biden's going to sign it right away. He's itching to sign it because Lloyd Austin actually contacted Pelosi and McCarthy in Congress. And he said, look, we only have another $100 million left in our budget to give to Elensky. So we need another big cash injection so we can keep on pumping the money. And sure enough, Congress is right there to help out because they're making a ton of money. This Ukraine grift, this Ukraine racket is so much better than the coup for them. It's so much easier to launder and wash the money through Ukraine than it was through Big Pharma and through all of this stuff that they were doing with the coup. So I mean, 33 billion? Why stop at 33 billion? Make it 40 billion. Why not? So yeah, we got that bit of news. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I also said last week that that Olaf Scholz is going to have to make his way to Kiev and meet with Elensky. I also said that last week, and sure enough, Elensky yesterday invited Olaf Scholz to Kiev. So that's also happening. I knew that Olaf Scholz was going to have to go to Kiev. He has to. He has no choice, right? So this is the main church in Nicosia, where I'm at right now. Really nice. Beautiful church. You can see how beautiful the marble and everything. It's a really nice area in Old Town Nicosia, and you wouldn't know it. You know, I always get turned around when I walk in these neighborhoods, the small streets, and I just don't know them. I don't know these neighborhoods that well. So I wasn't really expecting to end up here, but I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. Yeah, so you knew that Olaf Scholz was going to go to Kiev. It was inevitable. They all have to go, and Biden's going to go too. Mark my words. Biden will have to go to Kiev. It's unavoidable. They just have to get him pumped up with the necessary meds so he can make the trip. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. 40 billion to Ukraine. Yep, 40 billion. The UK also is going to give some more money as well. This is on top of the 1.6 billion that they're stealing from the emergency fund. Oh, here's what I forgot to say. The EU is now going to go into debt in order to fund Elensky. They're going to take out a bond, 15 billion. They're going to issue a bond, 15 billion euros, and they're going to give it to Ukraine. Oh my God. This is like, I've never seen countries commit this type of financial suicide ever. But I just default back to what I continuously say. All they're going to do is they're going to print the money and they're going to pump it into Ukraine, pump it to Elensky, and then they're just going to move it right out the back door and pocket it. This is like the best grift I think these politicians and their puppeteers, their puppet masters have ever stumbled upon. That is why Lindsey Graham goes on Fox News and talks about how Ukraine could win. They're winning. Just give them more. They're winning. Give them more. He understands that they are making tons and tons of money. You can actually see the mosque minaret in the background over there as well. So you have the church, you have the minaret over there. Really old town, an old area. Over there is like the monastery. Pretty quiet here right now, very peaceful. So, yeah. And of course, Putin is getting desperate. Putin is getting so desperate. Oh, Graham also mentioned NATO. I'm kind of jumping all over the place because my mind's a little jumbled today. But yeah, Graham also mentioned NATO. He talked about expanding NATO. We're going to get a decision soon from Finland and then Sweden. So once Finland decides to go into NATO, Sweden's going to go into NATO, and that's going to be that. So NATO will expand. And Ursula von der Crazy came out with a statement and said that come June, Ukraine is going to get a decision on its EU candidacy. One sec, where's her tweet? So Ursula von der Crazy said, followed up on yesterday's G7 discussion with Elensky, we discussed EU support and Ukraine's European pathway, looking forward to receiving the answers to the EU membership questionnaire. The EU Commission will aim to deliver its opinion in June. So I talked about how the Austria EU minister the other day, she said it's going to take 10 years for Elensky to get into the EU. Macron said it's going to be difficult for Ukraine to get into the EU. But Van der Crazy, she's committed. She wants to fast track Ukraine into the European Union. Maybe it won't be a full EU accession, but they'll figure out something. They'll even create a partnership if they have to. They'll make up some sort of partnership in order to get Ukraine into the EU. Because after the EU comes NATO. They want to make sure they get Ukraine into the EU, and then they're going to make up some sort of NATO membership loophole to get them into NATO as well. Something like that. They're going to do something crazy like that. But, you know, they talk about how Putin is desperate. Graham and Brett Baier. Brett Baier's really dumbed down over the years, the Fox News host. He used to be pretty good, but now he seems like he's getting dumber and dumber with each passing year. But Fox News has really just dropped the ball with their Ukraine coverage, except for Tucker. Tucker Carlson's been pretty good. They talked about how Putin's getting desperate. Putin's so desperate. I saw him yesterday. I didn't see desperate when he gave his speech for Victory Day. I actually saw a very confident, not only a confident Putin, I saw a confident Lavrov walking to the area for the events. Mishutin, Shoigu. They looked very confident, very relaxed. I didn't see desperation at all. At all. Why would they be desperate? Trade between Russia and China is surging. I think like 25% increase from last year, this time. Russia-China trade. Oil to India is... Yeah, so I just walked around. I just want to make sure everyone got a view of the entire church. So let's go back to the it's a little noise over there because they're cleaning up. Let's go back to the shade. So yeah, do you know that Russia is selling so much oil to India, and India has one of the largest, actually the largest oil refinery in the world, and they were going to do some maintenance on that oil refinery, and they actually delayed it so that they can keep on processing all of the oil that's coming from Russia. Yeah, they want to take advantage of all the oil that's coming their way. So, I mean, they actually had to put a delay on the maintenance for this refinery. How exactly is Putin desperate? How are they losing? The Russians, I'm even going to say something right now that a lot of people are going to say, no, that's not true. I even think that Russia is starting to win the media war to a certain extent, because you're starting to see the hysteria of the crowds, of the mob, rear its ugly head with regards to what's going on in Ukraine. You saw it yesterday during the World War II events in Warsaw, where the crowd started throwing red paint at the Russian ambassador. I mean, that's weak. That's weakness. That's hysteria. That's hysteria taking hold. And I think the Polish Foreign Ministry came out with a statement, and I think they condemned it. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments down below if that's accurate. But I believe the Polish Interior Minister actually encouraged that type of mob violence. He actually said it was all right. Let me make sure I'm citing the right guy. Yeah, the Polish Interior Minister, Mr. Kaminski, said that the gathering of opponents of the Russian aggression against Ukraine, where genocidal crimes are committed every day, was legal. The emotions of Ukrainian women who took part in the protest and those husbands are bravely fighting to defend their homeland are understandable. That's what the Polish Interior Minister tweeted. So he's tweeting, yeah, absolutely. You know, mob violence is absolutely fine, no problem. That's not going to age well for the Polish government. That's not going to age well at all. Yeah, let me think. What else do I want to say? I'm just looking at some of the articles that I have pulled up on my phone. The EU to go into debt for Ukraine. This is coming from Politico. Politico's like super pro-globalist, anti-Russian, and they're even saying that the EU is going to go into debt now. The European Union is planning to fund the operating expenses of the government in Kiev for at least 3 months. Politico Europe reported on Monday, citing diplomatic sources, 15 billion euros would be raised through a debt emission using the template established for the KUF relief. The template of the KUF relief is now being carried over to fund 3 months of Ukraine's life. My God, Ukraine's economic viability. 3 months. That's what 15 billion is going to get you. When does this end? When is this going to end for the EU funding Ukraine, or is this ever going to end? Is this going to be an every 3 months? The EU is just going to issue debt of 15 billion to keep Elensky going. And what kind of Ukraine are we even talking about at this point? Let me sit down here. Nice shade, nice place to sit down. Yeah, what kind of Ukraine are we even talking about? They're talking about getting Ukraine into the EU. I'm sure they're going to create some sort of Nato special partnership with Ukraine as well. 15 billion to Ukraine, 40 billion to Ukraine, a couple more billion from Boris to Ukraine as well, on top of the 1.6 billion. What Ukraine are we talking about in 6 months? Graham said that Ukraine is fighting for every inch of the territory in the east, and they're not going to give it to Russia. But the Russians have already taken enough land in the east of Ukraine that I believe it's almost 1.5 times the size of the UK territory. That's how much land they now control. Kherson is going to be on the ruble. It's already on the ruble. It's going to be fully on the ruble in a couple more months. Now it's just doing ruble and hryvnia, the Ukraine currency. So it's actually letting people transact in both. But after 2-3 months, it's going to get rid of the Ukraine hryvnia and it's going to go straight into the ruble. All this money is going where? I mean, we know where it's going, but I'm saying, they're pumping all this cash in there, and no one is asking the question, for what? To go where? To go to who? What's it going to be used for? And this is on top of the 300 billion that they stole from Russia's foreign reserves. And they're saying that Putin is getting desperate. How is Putin getting desperate? I'm not seeing it. He's winning the ground war. He's winning the economic war of attrition. There's no baby formula in the United States. I'm not saying that's directly related to what's going on in Ukraine, but these are supply issues. A lot of it was, most of it was a result of the terrible mismanagement of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, but a lot of it is due because of the coup and all of the supply chain issues there over the past 2-3 years, and it's just being exacerbated by everything they're doing in Ukraine. It's not helping the situation. What's going on in Ukraine, the sanctions, the embargoes, all of this is not going to help the baby formula problem, and we're talking about baby formula now. We're just at the beginning. Things are going to get a lot worse. We're going to see food shortages, which are going to encompass a lot more than just baby formula. I've got the article right here. Russia trade with China is surging. Mutual trade between Russia and China amounted to nearly $51.09 billion in the first 4 months of the current year, marking growth of 25.9% compared to the same period 1 year ago, according to the latest data released by China's Customs Office. How is Putin losing? And then you're seeing the hysteria on the media side of things. You're seeing people in Warsaw freaking out and throwing paint on an ambassador, a Russian ambassador. That's weakness. And then the Polish government is not condemning it. Double weakness. You have Elon Musk saying that that he could die under mysterious circumstances, and the media in the U.S., the mainstream media, is saying, "Oh my God, Elon Musk is afraid that the Russians are going to get him because of his Starlink satellite system and how the Starlink system is helping to beat Russia. It's helping Ukraine beat Russia." What are they talking about? The whole thing's just crazy. I'm telling you, it's mass hysteria. I think that Elon Musk, when he sent this tweet, what did he say here? His tweet said, "If I die under mysterious circumstances, it's been nice knowing you." I think he was high. I think he was probably high, and he was probably just tweeting nonsense out, and that was that. That's it. But the media automatically, they turn it into some Putin is going to get Elon Musk thing because of Starlink. Like Starlink is making any difference in what's going on in Ukraine. None of this stuff is going to make a difference to Russia's inevitable win. And whatever that win is whatever Putin and the Kremlin and his Security Council decide it to be. I mean, no one knows how they're viewing victory. No one knows if it's going to be Odessa, all the way to Odessa, if it's going to be all the way to Lviv, if it's going to stop tomorrow. No one knows. But it's going to be whatever they dictate it to be. The whole thing's just crazy, the rhetoric coming out of the collective West. But as all of this rhetoric is coming out, they're making a ton of money from this from this grift of just pouring billions and billions into Ukraine and saying it's going to be put to some sort of good use to defeat Russia. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Anyway, do I have any other stories here that I want to get to before I do a clown world? I feel like this whole video should be a clown world. I really, really do. But here's a kind of a clown world. Kind of a clown world here. Even Ben Wallace is the UK Defense Minister is saying that Ukraine's going to win. British Defense Secretary has expressed his belief that Ukraine, which is being supplied with weapons by the UK and other Western nations, is capable of achieving military victory in the conflict against Russia. Sure, everything's possible. Everything's possible. I could wake up tomorrow and be a billionaire. It's possible. Yeah, absolutely. Is it probable? No. I mean, I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I mean, the words they use, it's possible. If we just put more money in there, more weapons from the UK, yeah, it's possible. Ukraine might win. This is what Ben Wallace said on Monday. He was giving a speech to the National Army Museum in London. It is very possible that Ukraine will break the Russian army to the extent that they either have to go back to pre-February or they have to effectively fold in on itself. Russian President Vladimir Putin must come to terms with how he's lost in the long run. And he's absolutely lost. Russia is not what it was. What are they talking about? Russia's not what it was. You mean Russia's bigger now? Russia's going to be bigger? Now Russia has Kherson, and it has all of Donetsk and Lugansk. Yeah, Russia isn't what it used to be. Now it's a bigger country. Now it's out of the globalist system. Now its trade's surging with China. Now its trade is surging with India. Yeah, Russia is not. Russia has baby formula. But he says it's very possible that Ukraine will break the Russian army. Really? Maybe. Maybe Ben Wallace sees some sort of intelligence that me and you are not getting. I don't know. Maybe Lindsey Graham is getting some sort of intel that me and you are not getting. But if that's the case, then I don't know what to say. But going by Lindsey Graham's track record, he's gotten every single thing wrong. Every single thing wrong when it comes to foreign policy. So the fact that he's weighing in on Ukraine and Russia, and he is saying that Ukraine's going to win, I think it's pretty clear now that that what's going to happen in Ukraine is not going to go according to Graham's forecasts. So let's do a clown world. This whole thing could have been a clown world. Elon Musk could have been a clown world story. Ben Wallace's statement that I just read to you could have been a clown world story. The G7, by the way, is also coming out with statements saying that they're going to, there's no way they're going to let Russia win. It's impossible. So, the only option to all of this, Graham said there's no off-ramp in his Fox News interview. There is no off-ramp. There is no way back. If that's their thinking, then as Russia continues to win and grind down the Ukraine army, and the loss becomes crystal clear to everybody that is under the belief that Ukraine is winning, as the truth starts to come out, then what does the G7, what does the EU, what does NATO do? What's their plan then if there is no off-ramp? What's their plan? Because they're saying there is no way back, that they will not allow Russia to win. What's their plan? Is their plan then to go to war with Russia? Is it nuclear war? Can Ursula von der Crazy or Lindsey Graham or Ben Wallace, can they let us in on what exactly they're thinking when they're saying there's no off-ramp and when Ukraine's defeat comes to pass? So I've rambled on long enough. Let's walk down that way in Old Town Nicosia here. Now let's do a real quick clown world. And this clown world has to do with the Cannes Film Festival. So the Cannes Film Festival, what they are doing is that they are not allowing Russian journalists to take part in this film festival. Big surprise. Why am I not surprised? Let's see here. Let me find it. So here we are. Cannes Festival refuses entry to Russian journalists from publications that do not oppose the war in Ukraine. The Cannes Film Festival is declining press accreditation requests from Russian journalists associated with outlets that do not oppose the war in Ukraine. The festival's organizers had already publicly condemned Putin's war on Ukraine and uninvited all official Russian delegates or anyone linked to the Russian government from taking part in or attending the 2022 event. A festival spokesperson told The Hollywood Reporter that Cannes approved only the few Russian publications that share the festival's anti-war stance. So basically what Cannes is, what the film festival organizers are doing, what Cannes Film Festival is doing, is pretty much what Wimbledon was trying to do with Russian tennis players, and that is, You can play in Wimbledon, or if you're a journalist, you could attend Cannes, but you have to denounce your government, your country, your president. You know, just pretty much denounce your entire existence. And then you can attend our event. You can play Wimbledon, or you can, you know, be a journalist at the film festival. That's pretty much what they're doing. The same template as Wimbledon. So I think I will leave the video there. Here at another church in the old town of Nicosia. Check out Alexander's channel. Great analysis on what's going on in Ukraine. Check out the Duran. We're going to be doing a live stream tonight, 6 o'clock London time, with Robert Barnes. So that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be a super interesting live stream to do. It's always great to have Robert on, and the Duran.locals.com coming to you from Old Town, Nicosia. Take care.